Sooner or later, you will probably think about getting a new watch. You might want to buy a new one, or you might look into the second-hand market. There are many online marketplaces out there that not only offer a great selection of available watches, but also provide customer-friendly features like money-back guarantees or 24/7 customer support. However, even with all these layers of security, there is still the danger of accidentally buying a so-called Frankenstein watch. In this video, I will explain to you why that is an issue and how you can defend yourself against it. What is a Frankenstein watch? In essence, a Frankenstein watch is a timepiece which is being kept alive with many replacement parts. This is especially problematic with vintage watches. On the one hand, having many replacement parts might be a necessity because the original watch parts from the vintage years aren't available anymore for use in a repair. But how much would you be willing to tolerate? You might end up with a watch in which more than 80% of its movement has been replaced with average quality parts. At the end of the day, a watch isn't just about how it looks and feels. It is also about how accurate it is and how reliable the date, the countdown, or the moon phase features are. Therefore, the older a watch is, the more you need to find out about it. You can ask the seller about any repairs or issues, but what exactly should you be looking for? That brings us to the most important parts of a watch: critical watch parts. So, which parts of a watch are very delicate and critical? Let's start with the basic setup of a movement. You have one barrel, 4 wheels, one escapement, and one balance wheel. You don't need to know what each of those parts do, but just keep in mind that the balance wheel is the most essential part. That's because the balance wheel dictates the accuracy of your watch. It is doing that by having a perfectly adjusted beat rate, which is supported by tiny weights on its rim component. So, in other words, if the seller mentions anything about a repaired balance wheel, then the accuracy of the watch should come into question. There are many other single components which are important, but aside from the components themselves, the complete health and structure of the movement also plays a critical role. Some components turn while others are hammering. There is a lot of action going on in the movement, and it's generally bad news when there's the chance of having water or any other kind of fluids inside the movement. Fluids can get into every tiny part of your movement and can essentially cause rust, which will cause a chain reaction of damages along the gear crane of your movement. Last but not least, you generally want your watch parts to be firmly in place. You don't want them screwed in too loose, since it can set off a chain reaction of problems, but you don't want them to be over tightened either, because that could cause depression and friction. You see, there are many details you can deeply get into, but the point is that you ask about previous repairs, how you can spot a Frankenstein watch. Now, with all these points about Frankenstein watches in mind, how can you actually spot a Frankenstein watch in real life? The first and obvious step is to ask the seller about previous repairs. Depending on what the seller tells you or not, you can then ask to have the case back of your watch opened so that you can have a look at the movement which is inside the watch. This can be done obviously in person, but also online through a video call. Don't be shy to ask for a look at the movement, since this is the same as asking a car salesman to have a look at the engine. As a reference for yourself, you can use Google or any other search engine to see how the movement of your particular watch is looking in perfect condition. Another great and much easier way to spot Frankenstein watches is to use a digital platform called Ventrace. Ventrace is an online platform which keeps digital certificates of every watch on Earth. You can also create certificates for your own watches to protect yourself against loss and potential damages. These certificates can contain the complete history of a watch, starting from the day when a watch left its factory to the repairs and inspections done at watchmakers, including detailed summaries and explanations. Ventrace collects gets these details directly from the watchmakers or the watch factories. I will put the link to Ventrace in the description box below. So, as you can see, you need to be careful when you're buying second-hand watches. Older watches, especially vintage ones, are more likely to contain many replacement parts. On the outside, a watch might look perfect, but it might not work as it should, since on the inside, it is no longer the watch which it once was. What are your experiences with vintage watches? Where did you get yours and how was your experience? Please tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and see you on the next video.